What's up, YouTube? Blaze here, and I'm back with another reaction video. Okay, so today's video is gonna be something from our favorite slime man, Reggie. He's oh yeah. As for what to expect from him, well, expect a lot of chaos, whimsy, and questionable clips. Anyway, his video that he made a couple months back is based on a game that I haven't heard of before called There Are No Orcs, which I believe is built along the same way as Barony, so in a way it kind of makes sense. But here we go. If you guys are ready, I know I am. Let's go!
Orcs is an indie auto battler about destroying your enemies. But what is an auto battler? If an auto battler is a game about strategic.
Oh, I'm familiar with these types of games because I've seen a lot of these as old games and games on websites that used to host games like this. Man, needless to say, I really miss those days.
Deploying tactical assets before surrendering control and
Anyway,
seeing what happens, then is deploying my car onto the highway and taking my hands off the wheel a form of auto battling? Is slipping your friend LSD and watching as he loses grasp on reality an auto battler? And of course, is the day-to-day struggle against the.
oh, okay. I don't know why Reggie uses a lot of the same Nikado avocado clips, but I don't know. Maybe he just likes clowning the guy. But then again, who wouldn't?
Meaninglessness of our existence, some abstract auto battler raging within our very soul. As with any thought experiment, the answer is that it doesn't matter.
Oh, jeez, the trolley problem? Of course.
Literally, the only thing that matters is developing our economy, deploying our military, and beating the shit out of the people on the other side of the field. And that's exactly what we'll be doing today in There Are No Orcs. By utilizing infinite clown cloning, genetically modified dinosaurs, and inconceivable wealth generation, we will attempt to beat this game on some of the hardest difficulties. But before we go any further, I have to tell you something.
Of course, Reggie would do something this extremely challenging. Since when does he not make it a goal for himself? Out to either or try to accomplish some of the hardest things to do in a game? Either that, or he has a certain type of nature.
7 months ago, I had a traumatic experience. It was late at night, and I had nothing to do, so I downloaded a mobile game. However, this was no normal game. In fact, it was the worst game I have ever played. The graphics made no sense, all the text was in Mandarin, and every time I took damage, I would receive a text message telling me that one of my family members died. The 4 hours I spent playing that game have scarred me immensely, and ever since then, I have dedicated myself to the philosophy of quality control. These things need to be tested before they hit the market, which brings me to the sponsor of today's video, TesterUp. TesterUp is an online.
I've seen advertisements for this before, but I wasn't really certain what it really was until now.
Platform that will pay you money for testing apps and answering survey questions. The entire process is so simple, even a monkey could do it. Just sign up, choose an app, and begin testing. For example, let's take a look at my account, which I definitely use all the time. I'll select this game here, play it for 20 minutes, offer my most insightful feedback, and just like that, I made a couple bucks. Full disclosure, this won't replace your full-time job, but if you'd like a bit of extra cash, it is certainly an option. TesterUp is entirely free of.
Well, yeah, considering if you only get like $5 one time, you'd have to become addicted to it if you want to make decent cash to replace your actual job, which I would not recommend for obvious reasons. It's more of a side hustle than anything like Uber or Lyft.
Charge, easy to register for, and it has a 4.2-star rating on Trustpilot with over 22 million users. Sometimes, me and all of my corporate billionaire friends like to sit around a big boardroom table and compare tester-up accounts just for fun. Dear God, Paul Allen got paid up to $80 for a single test, and he's able to withdraw directly to his bank within 24 hours?
Bank withdrawals processed within 24 hours. Okay, that's fast, but also a little, suspicious if you ask me, but if it works, it works.
I think I need to lay down. So don't delay. Try Tester Up for free on PC or mobile. And as a bonus, if you sign up using my link in the comments or QR code, you'll receive a $5 credit to your account. Thank you, Tester Up. Now back to the video. The first thing you're going to realize upon launching this game is that it is very Chinese. So I recommend swapping to English, at which point we can begin. Our objective is quite simple. Destroy the enemy base and kill everyone inside. In order to do this, we'll first need to decide what commander to use, which necessarily requires us to grapple with several intense moral dilemmas. For example, is it ethically acceptable to incinerate thousands of people with a nuclear bomb if I'm wearing a cool Hawaiian shirt? Is it okay to hyperinflate the global currency and then use a giant dog to eat anyone who disagrees with you? And of course, can I have sex with a dragon? Based on your answer to these questions, you'll have a clear sense of
I'm not gonna ask about that last one. I don't know. Moving on.
which commander to use. Now, we will be playing on increasingly high difficulties, which means we have to be very deliberate with our choices and save our strongest strategies for last. So we're going to start with Alistar. This is a dwarf commander who specializes in dinosaurs and genetic manipulation. Unfortunately, we will be playing with a difficulty modifier that causes meteors to plummet from the sky, which has historically been a strong counter to the dinosaur meta. Regardless, we'll
Well, yeah, because supposedly comets wiped out the dinosaurs over 65 million years ago.
We'll do our best. Loading into the map, there are a few basic things to understand. Our enemy is all the way over here, protected by several towers. As we push down the towers, we'll gain control of these resource nodes and unlock several relics which can shape our build. But don't get your hopes up, because I'm about to hit you with the cold water. As dwarves, we have the most fucked up economic system in the game. It is a well-known fact that dwarves are sexually attracted to machinery, which is why our most valuable resource is gears. The problem is that the main method of producing gears is by spending gold, and the main method of producing gold is by spending gears. This is essentially an autocatalytic cycle, a reaction whose products rely on...
Wow. Okay. In a way, it does make sense. It's even if it doesn't sound like it makes sense. I know you gotta spend money to make money, but I don't know what you would compare this to.
each other to amplify their own production. That might sound cool, but it's basically what caused the 2008 financial crisis. So our first objective is to decouple our gold income from our gear income, such that one of them crashing won't necessarily destroy our entire economy. After some deliberation, I have decided that the safest way to accomplish this is to speculate on the stock market. Much like a degenerate gambler betting his rent on the number of cars passing through an intersection, I too feel the need to risk it all, which is why I spent our entire life...
Can people even do that in terms of gambling, or is that not legal? I'm kind of curious about that.
savings on several unregulated stock exchanges. These buildings take 20 gold and then give us back anywhere from 1 to 100. It is gambling, but the math checks out and it doesn't require any gears. We still have about 60 seconds until the first enemy wave shows up, so I decide to finalize our opening build with a few gear factories and a military base to produce an endless supply of child soldiers. These brave warriors will carry our empire forward into a gilded Gilded Age by repeatedly running down the field and capturing.
Was that something that actually happened in Starship Troopers? Because I really am
This
curious
gold
about
mine
that.
before getting shot in the face. I know, that's kind of a bleak existence, but it's only going to get worse, because the first enemy wave has spawned in, and we now have a front row seat to watch our Marines get their faces ripped off by some kind of demon cat things. In fact, if you zoom in very closely, you can almost hear the Marines desperately begging us to triple the defense budget. So I thought about that, internalized it, and decided to grab a few more stock markets. But don't worry, Marine, we also got a construction site. This building increases our total capacity for gears, which will soon become very important. Now, I love big hunky space Marines as much as the next guy, but if we want to survive the upcoming demon onslaught, we're going to need something with a bit more stopping power. So I save up some gold and upgrade our commander to level 2. This unlocks new tier 2 buildings for us and also gives us a free relic. In this game, relics range from painfully mid to game-breaking super weapons, and luckily we got the latter. By selecting Crusher Robot, we can increase our total gear storage by 2 every time we kill a person. If you can't see why that is incredibly powerful...
Oh yeah, I can definitely see that. You basically increase your overall income just by killing enemies. It works.
Then you need to broaden the horizons of your intended genocide. With enough carnage, this will single-handedly skyrocket our gear capacity. But why does that matter? I'll tell you why. The goddamn IRS is why. Because each tax office that we construct generates us 5% of our current gears. And if we have the capacity to hold thousands of gears, then we can run that number up very high very quickly. In essence, we have deliberately dismantled our original industrialized economy and replace the entire thing with gambling and taxation, just as God intended. It's all very exciting, but less exciting is the fact that the enemies are now using fire imps. So it's time for us to respond as if we've never even heard the word proportionality in our entire lives. Enemy army using shitty fire imps? Yeah, I'll just develop a Triceratops breeding facility and platonically crush their balls. In response, the enemies start feeling suicide.
You can use dinosaurs in this game. I've seen everything.
Bombers, and we double down with pterodactyls and raptors. The arms race has truly begun. Now, the value in these dinosaurs is that we can spend gears to use our commander's gene editing ability to upgrade them with additional stats. Currently, they only have a few bonuses, but once we get some gear stockpiled, this will get absolutely insane. The dino spam allows us to finally destroy the first 2 towers while upgrading our commander to level 4. This gives us access to a pretty busted relic combo in Armor Order and Pre-Order bonus. Here's how it works. Armor Order lets us buy these buildings, and each one that we buy permanently gives our units 30% more health. But Pre-Order bonus doubles any effects we get from buying buildings, so we're now able to buff our dinos by 60%.
Jeez. Wow. That's insane. Also, I might have to check this out on Steam when I get the chance, or at least check out the player base and the reviews.
At a time, which has quickly turned all of them into late-game tanks. Unfortunately, the enemy has just unlocked Tier 5 demons, Winged Grenadiers and Lemure Summoners. The Grenadiers are just flying dickheads with grenades, pretty self-explanatory.
Yeah.
But the Lemure Summoner is a far more insidious type of malevolence. Much like someone who has 50 children to offset their tax bill, the Lemure Summoner is a member of the welfare state. The Summoner doesn't contribute anything to the war. Instead, they just sit in the back line, popping out dozens of low-level demons until eventually accumulating a critical mass and crushing your society under the weight of their child army. Under normal circumstances, that would be a giant pain in the ass. However, right now, endless hordes of demon babies is exactly what we want. Because for each demon we kill, we're increasing our gear storage. And after only a few minutes of this demon infanticide, we've got it to over 7,000. This is allowing our tax offices to generate obscene amounts of resources while we upgrade our commander to level 5. This is where shit gets real, because level 5 unlocks the Gene Factory. This facility allows us to combine genes from different species in order to invent the ultimate life form. Sometimes, when I gaze out into the abyss of the online landscape and observe the myriad horrors which inhabit it, I cannot help but feel unnerved. Like I am looking at something which used to be human, but is now just an ungodly amalgamation of genetic material collected from aborted pig fetuses and alien DNA.
Boy. Dark stuff. I felt. Oh, that's so. And then again, it's Reggie, so. It's kind of expected.
Genuinely believe these people are coming from some kind of clandestine gene factory, but I just can't prove it. Fortunately, in our gene factory, we won't be concocting any such homunculi. Instead, this building produces a random dinosaur, but it gives it the genetic bonuses of all dinosaurs, which at the moment equates to plus 140 attack, plus 280 health, and plus 224 armor. For reference, the average unit on the enemy field has like 10 attack and 50 health. Safe to say, we're pulling ahead, but we can't stop now, because we've got 16,000 gears and it only costs 200 to edit genes. In theory, that means we can edit 80 more genes, but in reality, we can actually go infinitely, because our tax offices are generating gears faster than we can spend them. So, like the visionary scientist I am, I spam gene editing like 300 times in a row without even considering the consequences. As it turns out, the consequences were that our dinos got absolutely fucking ripped and started pushing in the enemy base. In fact, I had to liquidate 90% of our military buildings to prevent us from winning too quickly. Our evolution must continue. Before long, we're at 820 attack, 1400 health, and over 350 armor. The dinos have become so retardedly powerful that they're now tanking direct hits from meteors like it's nothing. And even with only one military building, we are easily defeating the entire enemy army. There's no stopping it any longer. Our dinosaurs push through the waves to reach the enemy keep and begin effortlessly demolishing it. Typically, it takes like 30 seconds to kill one of these. We got it done in 5. And with that, we have achieved total Jurassic supremacy, and the first
Man, that's a record.
stage of the challenge is complete. Now we can move on to the next stage. By increasing the difficulty 21 times, all enemy minions now have plus 69% health. So if we want to win, we're going to need a fairly broken commander, which brings us to Gustav. In the card game community, having the nuts refers to having a hand which is so powerful that you basically can't lose. And ladies and gentlemen, Gustav has the nuts, because every building in his arsenal is...
Am I not surprised that Reggie would use that image? It's just like a Martin did in one of his From the Depths videos. Yeah, that doesn't surprise me anymore.
Is dedicated to the relentless pursuit of money, even at the cost of beating people to death with hired bodyguards. We load into the map to find our opponent is also playing a human faction. This is bad news, as humans are one of the most disgusting and depraved races in the entire game. Regardless, we start by pausing the game in the bottom 3 lanes. Before the timer even starts, we've got 9 and depraved races in the entire game. Regardless, we start by pausing the game and establishing an economic base in the bottom 3 lanes. Before the timer even starts, we've got 9 farms, 2 barns, 2 banks, a park, and a bodyguard agency, all producing gold for us. That might sound very promising. However, I'm going to let you in on a little secret. I tried this level about 20 minutes ago, and we got absolutely humiliated by Monk Griffin catapult spam. It was a truly down and dirty, filthy the experience. And regardless of how hard I scrub, I don't think I'll ever feel clean again, which is why I'm determined not to fall for the same trick this time. So I invest heavily in ranged units and pick up a relic to buff their attack. Before long, we've got an endless stream of archers perforating the locals in order to assert our mineral rights over this mine, which makes for a very peaceful backdrop to casually power level our commander. By the time we hit level 3, we pick up a camping tent, which heals our units when they're near a captured settlement, and we've also unlocked 2 of our most important buildings. First is the treasure vault. It's expensive as hell, but every few seconds it produces 1% of our total gold. Right now, that's not a lot because we're dirt poor, but it has potential due to the town center. This building buffs the speed of adjacent economy buildings by 25%, and it stacks, meaning that if we get enough of these buildings lined up, we can aggressively expand our economy into the millions. But first, we have to survive, and that's not looking so good because the enemies are pushing into our base with a combination of monks, griffins, and catapults. Dear God, it's happening again. This specific composition of units is very dangerous because the griffins are strong frontliners, the monks heal the griffins, and the catapults use area of effect to saturate our entire army with damage.
Yeah, I can kind of see why Reggie would have a difficulty up against that kind of combination.
If you don't deal with this immediately, the enemy backline will slowly accumulate until they have enough healers to make their griffins invincible and enough catapults to completely remodel your base in about 9 seconds. Worst of all, we're still riding the poverty line like a goddamn roller coaster, which means we're too broke to fix this by spamming military buildings. I do try to recruit some wizards to slow the enemy advance, but it's too little, too late. They push right into our kingdom and start wrecking everything. Fortunately, we get exactly 1 second chance at this, because whenever your first building is destroyed, it unleashes a man-eating suitcase to protect you for about 2 minutes. So our luggage sprang into action.
Really? He just happened to have a video clip of the mag from Dark Souls 3.
And massacred 300 people in about 9 seconds. I took this opportunity to ponder on our current situation, and after a brief analysis, I have decided that the easiest way to counter the enemy build is to just copy it ourselves. So I built a few griffin nests, monasteries, and siege factories, along with picking up these sunglasses to deal 400% more damage to flying units. All of that together finally put us at a kind of stalemate between our trading post and the enemy towers. We're not winning, but we are buying ourselves enough time to execute the next phase of the game plan. As we discussed earlier, treasure vaults are excellent economic buildings, and town centers give them a very powerful efficiency bonus. But now that our commander is max level, we have unlocked the brokerage. When placed between 2 buildings, the brokerage will add the efficiency bonus of the building on the left to the building on the right, which means that by using the correct arrangement of brokerages, town centers, and treasure vaults, we can propagate our efficiency downstream, taking a treasure vault from 150% speed to 500% speed. This means that instead of generating 1% of our total gold every 13 seconds, it's now generating 1% every 4 seconds. Then, by scaling our operation up, we increase that number to 9%, which, with some patience, rapidly balloons our wealth into the 6 figures. We reinvest just enough into the military to keep the enemies at bay, while letting the rest accumulate interest. I begin adding a second layer of town centers to ramp this up even further, and before long, we're in the millions. 90 seconds after that, and we're at 10 million. With this money, we could almost certainly brute force a military win, but there's a far more cathartic way for us to end this. Each vault is generating around 100,000 gold for us, and while the enemies are pushing with with a sizable army, our camping tent is keeping them from breaking through. Our wealth is now exploding as we rocket into the hundreds of millions and finally approach my personal dream of becoming a billionaire, only for the game to violate us at the last possible second. It hard capped our gold at 999,999,999, exactly
You gotta be kidding me. There was a cap limit for that?
one gold away from becoming a billionaire. Abel was murdered by his brother out of jealousy. Prometheus was bound into eternal torture for helping humanity. And Vito Spatafore was made gay by his heart medication.
It's complicated. I was working things out.
All of these are classic and relatable.
There's no way heart medications can do that. I'm not convinced.
Tragedies, but being denied our capitalistic absolution by exactly $1 is truly in a league of its own. This is the kind of profound oppression that the common man could never understand. Begrudgingly, I accept that maybe 10 million gold per second is a livable wage, and we begin pushing back against the enemies, destroying 2 of their towers, which allows us to unlock the final piece of this puzzle, Big Pot Stew. This relic doubles the town center bonus from 25% to 50%, which in turn doubles our entire economy. It's time to go. I sell all of our military buildings and add another row of economy. According to my calculations, we're now generating about 280 million gold every 4 seconds. Now you may be thinking, Reggie, that's cool and all, but your entire military has been dissolved and your last soldiers are currently dying. What now? And the answer is quite simple. We're going to erect a giant gold statue of ourselves and use it to crush our enemies under the weight of millions of gold pieces. This building is the Financial Nova. It's a real piece of shit and you basically can't use it unless you're a billionaire, because every 20 seconds it consumes 50% of your entire gold stockpile to create a map-wide nuke. The nuke does 1 damage for every 200 gold contributed, and since it's consuming 500 million gold, the first shockwave rings out across the field, eventually reaching the enemy army and obliterating them with 2.5 million damage each. Before the Nova even exits the screen, our treasure vaults have already regenerated our wealth, and we're back at 1 billion, meaning that we now have complete and indefinite control over all life on the planet. Unfortunately, the Nova doesn't hit enemy structures, so we build a single cannon factory and a few monasteries. With this, we slowly begin tearing down the enemy base while spawn camping their army relentlessly. Eventually, they've had enough and their keep is destroyed. Just another soul harvested for corporate America. Now, you may be thinking, Reggie, you've just resurrected.
Isn't Reggie Canadian? Because I don't see how it can. I don't see how he contributes to corporate America.
The dinosaurs and broken the world economy. How do you intend on topping that? Bold of you to assume I'm a top at all, but the answer is quite simple. Welcome to the Clown Show. Moving on to this final run, we'll be increasing the difficulty to 46, which buffs the enemy's health by about 140%. For this challenge, we're going to be using our most filthy strategy yet, and it's all based around this commander right here. Clown is a demonic jester that focuses on cloning buildings and units. Additionally, we will have to adhere to the demon faction's mechanics, which are similar to that of a live streaming website, because it all starts with a human soul. First, we have to capture the soul. For this purpose, I recommend slave pens, slaughterhouses, or even spiky cages. Once we've got the souls, we're going to sacrifice them at such lovely locations as Sulphur Pit and Skull Fortress. This sends them straight to hell, and in return, we'll get some lovely demons. Whenever we're not sending people straight into the fiery chasm of hell, we may also decide to just burn them alive at these furnaces.
Wow. To include a clip of Amaranth. Wow, Reggie. Yeah, he's definitely a man of culture.
In exchange for gold. If you can get behind all of that conceptually, then you have a promising future streaming on Twitch. In accordance with all of that, I set us up with
Of course, he would have something on good old Dan Clancy. Okay. Also, I know that Twitch streamer, I don't watch her, but there was major controversy because, well, it was due to her having natural genetics and everyone thought she was fake.
A simple starter build,
Fake
and
with
before
her
long, we've got our first
yes.
batch of Lemures sacrificing themselves for gold mine supremacy. Our enemies attempt to stop us using goblin mechanics, but these might be the only unit more pathetic than Lemures, so it's no problem. This gave us an opportunity to hit level 2 and purchase some Vaults of Greed. This will be our primary source of gold. Each vault can be filled with up to 1,000 souls, and the more souls inside, the more money we get. However, upon hitting level 3, we gain access to the Soul Urn Relic, which increases the Vault of Greed's limit by 1,000. This is the core mechanic which we intend to abuse with the clown. Whether it's a bug or intended game design, I do not know, but our commander ability allows us to dupe.
If it's a bug, they would have patched it, but I'm getting the feeling that it was an actual game mechanic. That was put in, and it's pretty much broken. Whether or not the devs would nerf that, though, that's an even bigger question.
Duplicate a building, and when you duplicate a thing, the game seems to reapply all bonuses to that thing. So if we duplicate a Vault of Greed with a 2,000 soul limit, instead of getting a direct copy of it, we actually get a Vault of Greed with a 3,000 soul.
I wonder if it's because the whole cloning mechanic makes the duplicates better than the original. Then again, and that can also be implied with some forms of sequels. Sometimes the sequels are better than the originals. Emphasis on sometimes.
Limit. Over several generations of cloning, this allows us to stack buffs and concentrate our entire economy into a single building, which is very powerful because it frees up plenty of real estate for this next part. Ladies and gentlemen, the circus is coming to town. This is our commander-specific building, and for the cost of 110 souls, it will summon killer clowns to stab random bystanders to death. That's always nice, but the real highlight is that each of these clowns automatically clone themselves every 30 seconds. And just like with the buildings, the clones seem to reapply all buffs. For instance, earlier in the game, we picked up Berserker Armor, which gives our clowns 50% more health. Due to clone buffing, a first-generation clown spawns in with 52 health, but then his clone comes out with 70 health, and the clone's clone comes out with 88. Usually, in media, the more you clone something, the more genetically deranged it becomes. But in this game, it just gets better and better. Now, in theory...
Yeah, but then again, I think those movie plots were meant to teach us moral of the story, not to do the whole thing with cloning because of how the consequences are.
The idea of an infinitely replicating, infinitely improving army of carnival workers is very strong. But clowns are expensive as hell, and now that our enemies are using spider mines and gyrocopters, we're getting pushed back pretty aggressively. We try to stop them with some succubi and suicide bombers, but it's too little too late. So I surrender myself to the warm embrace of the luggage as it spawns onto the map and rips apart our enemies. While that's going on, I take the opportunity to upgrade us to level 5, because while the clowns are pretty good, we're currently facing an army of attack helicopters and 800-pound double-fisting robots. But what if we weren't? What if instead we were fighting an army of harmless rabbits? Because for my last trick, I decide to purchase several tier 5 magic hats. Each one of these activates to transform 5 random enemies into rabbits. It's impossible to know, but I sincerely hope that the process process is painful. But even if it isn't, it's definitely painful when a gang of juggalos runs up to them and stabs them 150 times. Now listen, abusing the magic hat system isn't our end goal here, because while we could use it to win, I do feel kind of bad about using suicide bombers to fight rabbits. So gradually, I begin waning us off our reliance on magic hats, and I also decide to sell all buildings except for the circuses. Now we can fully commit ourselves to building our Giga Chad clown army. To achieve this, I start building circles of fury. Each one of these increases clown health by 10%, and by spamming them, we manage to achieve over 200% bonus health plus 50% from our relics, meaning that each time a clown clones himself, he gets 2.5 times better. This has huge implications. Imagine if I cloned you, and your clone was 2.5 times better. Your new, better self could easily overpower you and lock you away in the attic, as he stole your identity. Every day, you would be forced to subsist on a diet of table scraps and the occasional attic bat as you listen to your clone effortlessly ingratiate himself to your family and casually achieve all of your dreams. In the nights, your better self may find sick enjoyment in blowing cigar smoke up at you through the ceiling boards, which will slowly cause you to slip into an irrevocable madness. If you can't get excited about that, I just don't know what to tell you. In any event, the buffs are quickly piling up as our swarm of clowns intensifies.
I wouldn't want that. I wouldn't want that. It's just as bad as double gangers. And double gangers can be scary.
Eventually destroying the final enemy tower and pushing on their core. The sheer quantity of knife crime on display is enough to bring a tear of joy to my eye. The enemies respond by using machine gun helicopters to spray randomly into the crowd, but for each clown they gun down, 2 take his place, and before long their base goes up in flames. A smile spreads across my face as I realize I just spent 40 minutes stabbing people to death, and all I got was this fucking tube. God damn it. Well, there you have it. We have conquered this game on multiple levels, from creating the ultimate life form to generating infinite wealth, and finally using an army of hepatitis patients to rid the world of the dwarf menace. Truly, this is a good day. I want to thank this month's patrons for supporting the channel, and finally, thank you for watching.
Okay. I might end up cutting out that one little bit. So, yeah. Wow. Okay. I don't know why, but when it comes to Reggie playing games, it makes me feel like I got the same stance whenever I see the Russian Badger play games. It basically makes me want to hop onto said games and try them out for myself. Man, it's like for me, and also if Maxor is capable of doing that too, it's kind of like Connor with it's it's kind of like Connor buying cinnamon rolls for Iron Mouse. Basically, they just cover games that I want to try, and I get what's on. Oh wait. But anyways, that's it for me. If you liked today's video, please leave a like, drop a comment down below. Also, please feel free to hit the subscribe button and hit the bell icon to get notified on when I post new videos or when I go live. You can catch me on social media. I'll leave all my links along with the original video in the description below. Until next time, see you guys later.